This
I see.
conference will now be recorded.
No, no. Sir, if you don't mind, just stop the recording. Within 2 to 3 minutes, we'll start. I just want to start within 2 to 3 minutes. Just waiting for a few more. The
This
free trial of
conference will now be recorded.
cloud also we can get. And quickly, I'll just give you some brief introduction about the flow. See, whatever the tools you might use or the coding platform you might use, these are like the front end approaches, but the back end, why we are implementing these all things means definitely one of the image which in your real time environment will help you. And maybe I'm showing you a couple of times, don't worry it's like boring or something, but definitely it is the only the one thing that you are going to work in your whole career if you are into BI. It doesn't matter whether you are working with Databricks, whether you are working with ADF, whether you are working with some other cloud platform of ETLs, anything. But if you don't understand the flow of this part, definitely it will not make sense knowing those tools and all. If you are very familiar and you are very hands-on with the tools that we have, but definitely it will not make sense. But until unless you know this process. So quickly, I'll just go through this part and I'll start up with the Databricks today. So as I said, like OLTP servers are mandatory, data warehouse servers are mandatory, and the service cloud service also required. It can be cloud, it can be on premise, anything. So the data which is coming from the front end applications, maybe you might develop this in the .NET, Java, or any other codes. These front end applications, maybe you might use it in mobile or maybe use it in the tab. How one a simple example I'll tell you. Zomato or like any Swiggy or any food applications, you are ordering some items, right? You are that is an application which is developed. That's what I mean, whether you might use it from a mobile or a tab or a laptop, and you do one of the transactions which you fulfill your needs. Whereas the business providers, thus business providers mostly will take the data and load it and maintain it into the OLAP system, into the OLTP, I'm sorry, into the OLTP. I'll tell you one quick just basic example. If you go for a banking any bank where you are maintaining your account, if you ask for last 1 year data, them they'll give you immediately. But if you ask last 5 years about data, definitely they'll say just right away we cannot provide you, but you give your mail id and you just leave, we can give you within couple of days, 3 to 4 days. Why they will take this number of days means they have to get the access to get this data warehouse. Why? Because from the day one onwards you will have this access. From the day one onwards you will have access to your uh, you will have access to your I mean history of your data. But thing is, there are two different servers. So these two different servers are going to make a difference or vary in your maintenance. Means your OLTP maintains to run the business, which will help you to run the business. Your OLAP will help you to maintain the history data to analyze the business. So the interpreter between this OLTP, OLAP is nothing but an ETL process. That is nothing but extraction, transformation, and load. So this is going to be implemented through either an code-based ETL tools or like an GUI-based ETL tools. And Databricks is one of the tool which will help you to implement this process. And Databricks is not only the tool which will help you to perform the ETL operations, it will help you to generate some basic visualizations as well. Definitely we can utilize them, or else it will the data bricks is very familiar nowadays. Why? I'll tell you one of the use case. For suppose I have a mission, one system, one mission which is costing me 1 lakh. It's not my budget actually. The same mission I want to, I mean to say like for example, you have a basic mobile, you have a smart mobile. Your basic mobile will help to only to talk to the other person from some different place. It's nowhere usage of it. But if you have any other smart mobile, maybe it will help you to access your net banking in your home itself and do some transactions from one person to another person's. And if you are having any kids, and if your schooling is happening in the virtual mode, you can connect to your classes if you have a smart mobile. Means when you have a basic mobile, it is only one use case. Just calling to the other person, receiving the call from the other person, that's it. You cannot utilize it more than that. The same concept with some advanced features, and it is helpful with multiple resources, multiple people. Definitely expensing that smart mobile is going to be really worthful. It's not going to waste your money. Definitely the usage wise, you have to purchase. So maybe the people who, maybe my our parents may not, means like who are well educated, or like who got, but even now the mobiles are in such a way that the people might not educated, but they can do using the options, that icons are designed in such a way. Okay, by looking at that icon, we can directly call to the other person. By looking at this icon, I can connect to Wi-Fi. If you just give uh, some like knowledge on utilizing the mobile, even the people who ever not educated properly, those people also can definitely usage of this smart mobile. Am I right? So the same way, the usage of this data bricks also, the outcome of this data bricks is going to be in the form of visualizations. It is going to be in the form of a textual. It can be anything. Text in the sense, I'm not talking about it is a file or in a database, it is a table or anything. Even it is a data from a database, it can. So this outcome, there is going to utilize between multiple peoples, multiple departments. I mean, instead of people, I can say multiple departments. For suppose, okay. So here, if you see, I just made some note of it. Uh, see, it's going to help the data engineer. It's going to help some data scientist, and it is going to help, for example, so it's going to help multiple platforms. It is going to help for multiple platforms. And a BI developer, the people, means it will show the data in the form of it will give the data in the form of textual, means it can be helpful for the BI people to generate reports from there. Means, for suppose, if I am only the person, and if I have two different tasks here. What is the two different tasks? One is to maintain the history using ETL, just showing that history in a form of visualization, means converting that into the visualization. Two things I'm having. The same way, I have my 100 chairs in my first ground floor. I am only the one person. That 100 chairs, 50 of them are in blue color, 50 of them in the red color, and 50 of them I have to put in the first floor, and 50 of them I have to 15 to the fifth floor. I'm only the one person. How much time it will take? I can do, but it will take some time. But if I have the other person, definitely it will reduce my work time. Maybe if I am alone, I might do it within 1 hour. Maybe the other person might do it within the, if I have two persons, if I can do it within 30 minutes. Correct or not? So what can I prefer here? That is purely dependent on the client, because client will expect to save some amount. It's not nowhere the people will say, you, I'll give you a lot of amount, you do whatever you want. No one will give you that. And nowadays, after corona, the situation, definitely to save the lot of money is the main people are looking for. So definitely we cannot expect the client to expense more. So then what we can do, we can say that okay, it's fine, we will try to implement our Databricks alone to means Databricks is the capable to generate the reports as well. But what the suggestion, but what we can say is we have some limitations on top of it. If you say this is only one person have to move from 100 chairs and segregate these 50 into one color of chairs and 50 in the other color of chairs into separate and put into first floor and second floor, I will say it will take 2 hours of time. But the client is expecting the person who is the owner of that worker, the person is expecting to make it as 30 minutes. Will not work out. Maybe if in that hurry burry, maybe my chairs might broke. If I just do it, so the work may not be efficient, means the work may not be accurate. So there are a lot of situations will happen. So that is the reason some clients will say that I'll give the amount whatever required, but make two separate teams or two separate tools. Then we are going to use this Databricks output in separate BI environment. And the data which is coming out of these Databricks is going to helpful the data scientist to predict the business future and with machine learning concepts. So the input of that will be given to the data scientist, and data engineer role also will can perform with Databricks. There are a lot of things that we can do. And within this, see, Azure ETL components. Databricks is one of the ETL which is code based ETL. What all the codes we can maintain? We can write Python code. We can write Spark. We can say like SQL first. Well known of this. Scala code we can write, and we can write R as well. We can write R as well. In our training, we are going to talk about these three, and some part of for R also will see, but not more efficient. And after that, what happens like we have to support these things to perform the reporting within the Databricks as well and out of the Databricks as well. So Azure Data Factory is which is the codeless tool. Codeless tool means what? It's GUI. If you go to the data factory, this is your data factory. It's all about having the code based. For example, if I try to extract the data, if I want to extract the data, I'll just connect to, I'll open this Databricks as well. I have a Databricks community. So see here, what is happening here is in the Databricks. So code-based ETL tool Data Factory we have. Data Factory is alone only to perform the ETL activities. Within the GUI, we can perform the ETL activities. It's opening the Azure Data Factory. If you go to this other tab, which is their pipeline, and this pipelines, if you just already existing pipeline, I just want to open. See, I have some, if I want to call the source data, just I'm utilizing this uh, transformation which is called source transformation, and I'm just giving the data set, and within the data set if I try to open, I'm getting the schema, means the structure of the table. And once the cluster, if I on the cluster, means like data flow debug I have to do on, so that what will happen, I can see the data preview as well. But it is very simple that I'm providing some steps and some data sets and I'm able to preview the data, but it's not that easy in Databricks. But the fastness, maybe if you have some huge volume of data, definitely the data factory will have some time taken process to fetch the data, because the server is different, the source server is different. Okay, the cluster which we are working is Spark cluster only, which we are going to work with Databricks, the same cluster. What is meant by a cluster? I'll talk about it. So, what I want to show here is ADF, it is a code based. So, if you want to understand what is Databricks means, it is code based ETL, and Data Factory is codeless ETL. Okay, there are other two things which will help, and Databricks and Data Factory both are the part of data engineer. Means if you are looking for an whole cloud, Azure cloud data processing within Databricks or Data Factory or Synapse or Stream Analytics, you have to be, you will be a data engineer person, means you will be the role of data engineer with Azure. That's why we call Azure data engineer. It is very high demanded role we have nowadays in the market. There is no nothing, no, everything is the one we have to maintain as a data. See here, we have to work with the storage accounts, maybe in the format of file store, table store, anywhere. And data lake storage accounts we have to know. As a Azure data engineer I'm talking about. And Databricks file systems we have like DBFS, which is Databricks file system. And I just mentioned like Databricks is nothing but a Hadoop cluster which is on premises, replicate to that which is in a cloud is Databricks. Apache Spark cluster, only this cluster will be maintained, and Databricks will execute this Python code or SQL code or like Scala to perform the ETL operations which I showed you. These ETL operations or reporting operations, the same cluster will be used. What is the advantage of this Spark clusters? Means it will perform with multiple nodes with very high fastness. Means you can imagine like millions of records will be processed within seconds of time. And nowhere you are going out of this box, means the whole setup of this environment, the bare environment can set up apart from this web applications. Remaining all the part you can set up within one single cluster. That is what the advantage of the people coming into this Apache Spark, maybe Databricks, maybe Hadoop in the on-premises. Whereas before to the cloud, Hadoop is the well trending in the market to implement the big data, means like huge volume of data, big data. Whereas in Databricks, you might data factory. I'm sorry, in the data factory you might see some time taken process while working with some big data, unstructured data. And within unstructured data, if you want to work with data factory, definitely we have a few challenges. Of course, in the Databricks, it is a code base, but once we start writing in the Python or Spark or like SQL, definitely SQL instead of we can use Python more better than using working on unstructured. Unstructured means we cannot identify, we cannot define that data. That is the reason it is some typical and some what do we say like difficulty we might face. So we have a lot of challenges, so we have to know all the libraries in the Python or utilities in the Python to work on those things. Those all things we are going to talk. So once we start learning this day-to-day class, the first session I'll talk about work talking and implementing the data warehouse database. First, how do we implement database? How the dimensions will be segregated? How the facts will load? How do we get a meaningful data based on these two different formats of data? One is in dimension way, the other one is in the fact way. How do we get a meaningful data on these two tables? I'll show you that first. We'll talk that. That is our tomorrow's first session. Today is also like a demonstration. I'm not talking much, but from tomorrow we'll go step by step in a flow. So the first concept which we are talking is building the data warehouse database. Means understanding how do we build. So understanding data warehouse database means nothing but understanding what is the dimension, what is the fact. So that I'll start from tomorrow. And coming to this today's session, I just want to show you this overflow. Means extracting the data and transforming some way and loading the data into the warehouse, and from there generating the reports. These whole things I want to show in Databricks using the concept called Python. Along with that, I want to talk about see the Spark cluster also. About the clusters also I'll talk. Okay. So coming to this data bricks, I'll just have started. I have logged into this. So to work with this Databricks, the first major thing that we have to perform is just to give me 1 minute. I'll just stop the screen share for a while. I'll be back. I have some image. I have to take it up. Just give me 1 minute. Quickly, I'll show you. It's like kind of architecture of um,
This conference will now be recorded.
We got like so first of all, we got this notebook. Maybe you can configure this notebook with Python. Maybe we can work with SQL and some like Scala or like R also we can use. But especially these are the two ones which will have the demand. Okay. So we got like see Azure Data Bricks cluster which is configured on the Spark. So today I'll just show you taking the data. So the cluster, without cluster nothing will be happening. We have to use the Databricks with starting with the cluster. So that cluster we are going to start. So I just log in into the Databricks. So this is our Databricks community. So we have to configure this for the lifetime access. Okay. So here I got like see, if you want to compute, for example, I want to work with, if you want to work with Databricks, definitely we have to start the cluster or a notebook. So for example, if I go to a workspace, these are the three different folders that we have. If you go to this users, we got like here, we can create a notebook. Okay, within this notebook we can use libraries and we can work on. So if I take notebook, if I start, if I want to start this notebook to see, here it is asking to start a cluster. I don't have any cluster, so I cannot execute this notebook. So first concept is to set up the cluster. So if I set up the cluster itself, I can start writing the notebook. So what is meant by a job means job is all about having multiple nodes, executing them in a sequence order. Notebook 1, notebook 2, notebook 3, notebook 4. So like this we get multiple notebooks. Okay. So these all notebooks we can use and we can see these notebooks will be used from different streams. Maybe the BI stream. So first I'll start writing the code. So before to that, what I have to do, I have to start the cluster. Where I can start the cluster? If you see, we can see here compute. If you want to compute the notebooks, we have to create a cluster. So I don't have any clusters ready now. I'm just going to create a cluster, and the cluster name I'm going to give it as, I already have it about, no, I don't have. So for the purpose of testing, I have created a test cluster. Just I'm using that create cluster now. So it will take a few minutes of time to start this cluster. So once this cluster is on, we have to set up the data as well. See here, I said DBFS, Databricks file system. If you come down to here, we got like different data connectivity. So the path to see, this is GUI. You are using this UI to flow. So I have the DBFS, which is Databricks file system. And if you select here, you can see, you can set up the path. If you just go to here, we can say copy the path. What is meant by the path? See here, we are able to see the file store. Just copy this. So how it is utilized, I'll tell you how you can utilize. And one more thing, from the our local machine, I have implemented these two files. If you just click on upload, we got the browse. We can browse it from the source system. So that is your file. So I'll show you how to. I'll give you some setup files. How do we set up these things, right? So I just copied the source file path of this, and now my data is represented, but still waiting for the cluster. It's getting on. Once it is on, it is going to on with the version called 10.4. What is this 10.4 means? It is having the number of nodes. So 15 GB memory is the free size, 2 core size, 1 dbu database units, Databricks units. So it will give, whenever you write a code, when you execute one notepad, one notebook, so that execution will take on the dbu units, so from the cluster. So it will process from the source system to, means nothing but your source is, for example, if you are having OLTP configuration through the Python scripts, so from the source it has to extract and load it into the OLAP using some transformations. Then the DBU is the one main skills it will process. If I said no, if I have one person, how much time it will take to place these 100 shades, segregating this 50 of one color into separate and 50 color of in another separate. Those things I have to put into the first floor and the fifth floor. If only one person, it will take 2 hours of time, for suppose. But if I have two people, it might take 1 hour. So the same way, the DBU units also, if you have more number of units, definitely it will take more faster. But as it is a community edition, I have only limited of software, like within 15.3 GB of memory I have given by Databricks directly, and it's a lifetime access you can have, but it is very minimized, means it is fixed. So only two cores of the process you have. So still the data cluster is getting on. So once the data cluster is on, if you go to this Databricks, before to that, in the meantime, I can just start writing a notebook as well. If you go to create, we can create a notebook. See, these are lot of references I have. I have from various sources. So the Databricks from help documentation we will take, and lot of resources will take and do the best. So you people can, and even I am much interested in sharing the knowledge with multiple examples, and having some taking input of multiple uh, sources from different sources is all, like we integrate all these because we can see a new example from different place. In my work environment, I see some examples, some real time use cases. From some other place, we can see in help document from the solutions of the Databricks clients, the people who are utilizing the Databricks and getting some solutions out of it. So those solutions we have from the Databricks website. So those all things we have to integrate, and we have to get a good output. So we have definitely a lot of solutions for them. Okay, this all I'll show you the best solution for you. So that's where the notebook I'm going to create now. So the notebook I'm going to use, like test BI, I'll say, because I'm going to extract the data, I'm going to create a table, and I'm going to transform it, and I'm going to visualize it. So that's why I'll say it's as a test BI notebook. Test BI notebook. So here we got like default language as SQL. For now, I'll just create with an SQL, but definitely we can work with Python as well. The most of the training we'll be doing on these two mostly. Next, we'll talk about Scala, means one by one. First, we will set up the data warehouse. First, we will set up the data warehouse, and next we will start writing Python scripts on extracting, or SQL scripts on pulling the data. And similarly, we'll go with Scala scripts as well. And Spark also we have to know, that is nothing but PySpark, where we write the code to extract and the configure the environment, the cluster according to the volume of the data that we are trying to pull. So that is required with PySpark. So those all things we are going to talk one by one, and the whole concept will be taken to complete with 45 to like 55 hours, near to 2 months, assume that. And we will talk one real-time project as well. So this is my SQL notebook which I am creating using the test cluster, which is get started. So if you get started of the cluster, you will get this icon. Just use it, just create it. So once you create this cluster, see, this is your case. I mean to say cell. We can write command one, and we can do setuping this cells also. by using some options like this. This is an user interface. This I'll talk after completion of the data warehouse. I'll show you how to first configure this Databricks within a community, and even in the cloud also we have. Even within the cloud also we can go with uh, data bricks. But whereas in the Azure, it is not going to work with the free trial. Databricks, you cannot configure the cluster. We have only 14 days of trial, and that's why I couldn't use it. And I am coming to this Databrick within the community edition. Okay, yeah. So now I want to extract the data from the data tab, which is uploaded from the source system. This is, for example, I'm showing from my local machine. So slowly, step by step, we will go to extract the data from the servers. The servers means, for suppose I have the data in my cloud environment with uh, within this server, for suppose SQL server test DBC. This is SQL warehouse. From here also we can pull the data into the Databricks. That part we will come later. Okay. So today I'm going to write with some script of extracting the data. So we can create a table. First, what I'm doing, I'm just dropping the table, exit, employees.csv is the file. So within this, after dropping, I'm just checking, because if it is exit, it will get override, right? So create table, employees, the same table I'm creating once again. So using CSV file I'm taking, like path I have, where I have to specify. I copied it wrong. That is the file path, and the file within that is header. Header is having true. Headers I am having, so that is mentioned as true. So if I just try to execute this, so whereas the cluster is accessed, whenever the cluster is enabled, only you can run the scripts. But without cluster, you cannot run. Okay, my cluster is on. Okay, here I just 1 second. So how do we run this cell means we can run only the cell as well. If you use this, we can run the cell, or else you can use the shift enter. If you use the shift enter once again, so I'm just running the command. The result of this is, see, Spark job. This is nothing but your Spark job. Means it is already run. Means the output is okay. Okay, this statements are working fine now. This is the output I got. Now on top of it, I want to select the table. Means I want to table is created now. If the table is already existing, it is dropping, and after dropping, it got created with a table again with employees using this employee file. Now I am going to write a statement with an SQL. As if this notebook has a SQL or not. So select star from employee. See, this is all like code. But what I did in Azure Data Factory, I just simply shift enter I'm using. Just simply I specified the path of the data set I given, and I got some name. So this is my query that I got in the output. This is my result. Now here I just want to write some transformations. I want to perform some transformations, like I want to select the department ID, and I got like sum of salaries, and I got like average of salaries. I have a salary column in this, and I want to do group by on department. Now I want to execute again this shift enter. So now if you execute this, I got some error. Just a minute. Department ID is correct. Sum of salary. Okay, here I got salary wrong value. I mean the column name I given wrong. So it's going to, it's very basic command I have written. See now. Now the sum of salary I'm getting as so total 11 departments we have. We have 11 departments. So see 1, 10, 1, 2, 3. You can just get this department ID selection, right? So now what I can do, I want to visualize this, and before to that, the headers are getting like average sum of salary means I'm getting this formula usage, but I want to give the alias names, so I'll just use like uh, see whenever we give for a column synonym, will say the other name to the sum of salary. I want to give it as total salaries. Department wise, total salaries I'm getting. Total salaries. The department wise average salary. I'm just giving like average. Means I'm just renaming this. So see here, the code will implement based on the number of columns, number of aliases that we give. But the logic would be similar, same. I mean, small piece of code only. But only the thing, the number of columns, the number of the length of the column names, those will be differentiating your code. That is what the problem with this UI. That is like a command line, but rest of the things will be simple to generate the code. So how to generate a report? Here you have a C, here you have a display to bar chart as a bar chart. If you go to here, we have different charts as well. Now if you just click on this, you can see getting like department wise, we got like the salaries, which is department giving high salary, ninth department. And you are able to get this now I want to show this average salary also. I'm getting the total average salaries I'm getting. I want to get the total salaries also. I want to show the total salaries. How do we show that? We have any plot options here. If you just go to these plot options, we got like department ID, average salaries. Just to drag this total salaries and place it here. Now you can see in the group chart 2 bars for every value. If I want to get a stacking, means on the same bar you will get two values. This is called stacking. Okay. So 100% stacked means all the bars represents in the same length, but only the two values based on the colors it will get differentiated. So grouped chart is the best one, or else grouped chart is more better when you want to compare two different measures. So what you can do here, I got like department ID wise average salaries, total salaries, and I want to see the best department, which is the one to find out the total salaries I got in orange, average salaries I got in the blue. Total salaries which is giving you highest, see I am getting like the ninth department. So best you can apply this into your notebook, and this notebook can be published. When you publish into this will be published as a workspace into the workspace, so that that workspace can be extracted with multiple BI tools. For example, I have a Power BI and I have a Tableau. So the BI whole environment we had. So we will talk some part of in power in Tableau, in part some part of things I'll cover in Power BI, and I'll talk Azure Data Factory. Some part of concepts I'll show you in Azure Data Factory, and some concept within the Azure Data Factory as well. I can call these Databricks notebooks, Python scripts, and jar notebooks also we can see. So coming to this Tableau desktop and Power BI desktop, we will see within the BI environment as well. We can get see, this is your Power BI, one of the leading BI tool in the market, and one of the competitor to this leading tool is Tableau. So earlier Tableau is number one. Once the Power BI is released, Power BI overcame in the year of 2019. So Power BI is number one tool in the BI industry from 2019 onwards. Earlier to that, Tableau is the number one. So Power BI from 2017 to 2019, Power BI is the competitor to Tableau. But now Tableau is competitor to Power BI. Power BI is leading in the market. So coming to this, see, we got like different servers, right? If you go to this server, you can see the Databricks here. If you give this Databricks, the server name, username, you can fetch the data and visualize here and publish into the Tableau servers in different mode. So based on the client's requirement, see, for example, Databricks licensing cost is less when you compare with these BI tools, then those will people will use only those. But the convenience here, the convenience is most important, the utilization is most important. See here also we can get the data from Databricks, where we are getting the notebooks storage. Based on the notebooks we can get the Databricks. So this practically also I'll show you connecting and generating some reports using the Databricks. So here if you see, Databricks is a cloud concept. See, for example, on premises wise, Hadoop is more familiar when it started newly. See, Azure Databricks we have, general Databricks also we have. Databricks is a separate, it's a third party. Means Databricks is a new, itself is an organization which is having its software, where this Databricks cloud resource will be configured in the Azure, AWS, and cloud services as well, Google Cloud as well. So Databricks alone, if you want to get, you can use this Databricks icon. Azure Databricks, if you want to use it, you can use it Azure Databricks also. So coming back to this Databricks now, so we once you publish here, we can get this report into the output to send to the end user. From next day onwards, you don't need to run. You don't need to do these all things again. You have to just schedule. So the scheduling and all we are going to talk with these notebooks, how do we schedule and all. So all the concepts which we are going to talk in this training, all the training would be like, first of all, the data warehousing concepts I'll cover. And I'll tell you, I'll guarantee you that you are going to learn the data warehouse database construction within a use case, automobile domain use case, theoretically. Within the notepad, I'll show you first. And later on, we will try to learn the notebooks creation using Python scripts, using SQL scripts, Scala. If time permits, I'll talk about R. I'll not guarantee on R, but I'll time permits, I'll give you on R as well. And some part of Spark also we have to learn. And combination of the Python, PySpark we have to write. So I'll just try to talk on this part. So these are the very unique concepts that we have to know with the Databricks throughout the training. So these are concepts which I will talk in the BI platforms as well. This is purely about Databricks. So once we construct or once we develop these notepads, the notebooks designed, these things we have to know how to schedule. So once we are done with this, then I'm going to show you how do we run this in the data factory using data factory as well. How the combination of Databricks and data factory can help the client to get more features more faster to get the generation of the reports and all, which is a GUI tool. It is GUI and which is like a CUI, command user interface. And next we are going to talk with configuring or connecting to Databricks using Tableau and Power BI. This is our last concept because the output of this whole training is to generate the BI reports where you can understand the huge volume of textual information into a graphical representation. So connecting to, of course, we can connect to any other BI platforms as well, but I am handy with these two things. I am a BI developer having all the years of experience with various BI tools like Power BI, Tableau, DataStage, and Informatica, MSBI. So these all are different years of yeah, uniqueness they have. So professional BA tools like DataStage, Informatica, MSBI, these are like professional BA tools which is needed in the market for the BA industry from the year of 90s to till 2050 below. From 2012, the Tableau market started in the market, which is next generation BA2. So a lot of advantages we have, and the first BI tool to connect to the big data is Tableau. That's where the Tableau is more familiar, famous in the market. It introduced in the year of 2006, but it came into the market familiar in 2012. The versions which are from version 1 to up to version 7, they are failures, but Tableau 8 version onwards, it is very good success it has in the market. That happened in the 2012, and later on they changed their version into year versions. Okay, fine. That is all about Tableau. When we come into the Tableau part, I'll give you some introduction of Tableau and its history and everything, and we will start implementing some visualizations in Tableau itself, and as well like Power BI, so that it will be complete BI environment. What is the main agenda to talk about these all things is the whole market you should understand, the whole BI. Maybe you might work on only with ETL in the work environment. Maybe you work on the reporting, but if you know the whole, the downstream and the upstream, both of them, definitely you'll have, because you are showcasing some experience. You are not going as a freshers. When you showcase some experience, definitely we should know what is happening after the ETL and before to the reporting, what is happening. These all things you should know. So that is the reason behind we are talking about all these concepts. So this is all about today's session. Tomorrow we are going to start our first session, which is our BI data warehouse implementation. So I'll talk about the data warehouse implementation, and this is all. And I'm just giving you once again. I'm telling you the whole concept which I'm prepared or like covering in this training. It's all about input of various sources. The first thing is in my training uh, from different sources. Like one of my source is my project, the work which we do in our real time. So but within that we can help with one couple of use cases. Again, there are help documents solutions from the Databricks as well. There are other client solutions. If you go to this Databricks, for example, I will go to the databricks.com. Even you people also can navigate to this. We have solutions, whereas there are different domain structure solution architects are there, which will help how they are going to explain in this documentation how they are helpful in their industry, how Databricks helped them. They will help you within the white paper. So definitely these all things are helpful to you to complete this training with handy. So this is all for today. I'm stopping here. Any questions from your end? If you have, you people can ask.
Sir, I have some question.
Yeah, please.
So in this session only we cover Databricks, yeah, we like complete Azure package.
Azure platform we will not cover completely, because whatever required to configure Databricks on Azure platform, like storage accounts, I'll show you. Database
Mm-hmm.
connectivities, I'll show you in Azure. But you cannot expect the complete Azure platform, cloud platform. Databricks completely we can talk on the same. Both are the same user interfaces we have in the Azure, and as well within the Databricks community also, but the same user interface platform, everything. But in Azure platform, if you want to talk, I'll just show you creating the storage accounts and the database connectivities and some secret keys. Keys means like to save your credentials, we use some secret keys that I'll show you. That those are
Okay,
only the things that I'll help you out, but not Azure
okay,
platform completely. Yeah.
okay, okay. Got it.